What's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday, 6-game slate. I'm in for DC. DC's all baseball mode, so I'm in taking NBA. DC's getting ready for the big show tomorrow, big slate. Joined by my two boys, Mangone and Big T. Big T, it's been a little minute from you and I doing a show. And man, there's no better show and no better time to hop on for this one. Huge wins last night. The $1 million comes over to RPS. Perfect name, the man. You are the man, the $1 million man too. What a win for him. And we had more than just that. Another 100K one. We had a couple other ones. We'll get to the members never win segment, but man, congrats to you, the man. Probably not the last time I'm going to say it. And if you are not a member, I don't know what you're doing. The Up to Lock show with Big T, JSU, Glock, Holden pretty much walked through the whole thing. We talked about on this show a little bit, the value wasn't great, etc. But then we get the Thunder news, two random guys starting. Obviously, they're in tank mode, and that opened up the whole slate to jam Embiid, to jam Jokic, and all that stuff. And it just fell into place. Big T, I'll throw it over to you. Good seeing you as always. Excited to do this show, but talk about yesterday a little bit, because if you're not a member, they don't know what they miss on the Up to Lock show. Talk about it.
Yeah, it was one of those days where, again, we're not going to take the full credit for his win, and there's a bunch of other wins too. We're not saying that at all. All we're saying is there's a lot of value in that Up to Lock show and all these shows, the free shows, everything. It just so happened yesterday that the Up to Lock show, like these guys were saying, I watched the show. There wasn't a ton of value. They went through the whole Giannis, Jokic, Embiid talk. On the Up to Lock, we happened to get a few values, and everything just came into place. We had a big night, $1 million winner. But yeah, like we come on the show, we say the two locks were Trey Jones and Jokic. And then throughout the show, we found out those two OKC guys were starting at 3K in the last week of a season. And when they don't start the normal guys like Poku, not saying we thought they would just sit the entire game, but we did say on the show, like, there's a decent chance these guys play a shit ton of minutes. The cheap guys that were starting ended up working out that. We even said Giannis, like, it could be a blowout. You could see Giannis sit a little bit this last week, which I still think is true. It was a blowout, and he, only played 24 minutes or something. But if there's another slate where you have Embiid and Jokic vying for the MVP and a playoff spot, and I think Giannis is just the one. He's been there. He's done that. He's made the finals. He's won an MVP, multiple MVPs, I think. And he's done everything. He's not worried about all that as much as Jokic and Embiid, especially Embiid too, like wanting to make one last push at the MVP. So again, I don't want it to sound like I'm just victory lapping everything, but it kind of felt that way yesterday on the show. So if you were listening, you had to have a good night. There's really no way you didn't crush if you were watching that show. And it just came down to the other pieces. And the man from in the Discord, I met him in the Philadelphia baseball final. Freaking great dude. I loved seeing him win the $1 million. It came down to him finding a couple pivots off that like core group of no one played Jokic and Embiid together with the OKC guys. He happened to play Gordon from the Nuggets, who was a great fit with the two locks. I said, Trey Jones, Jokic, two locks when we started the show. I didn't think to play Gordon. I'm not much of a Gordon fan, but we always talk about it in these shows. All you need is one or two pivots off chalk. You don't have to be that crazy. Play Aaron Gordon at 2% owned. And on the flip side to that, he played another Portland guy over Dunn and in that stack. So he had three OKC guys, I believe. Yep. Keon Johnson, I think, was his Portland guy, which is another just excellent pivot. Not saying it because he won. This is not being results oriented, but his team was like a perfect build for me. Mini stack of the Nuggets game, full stack of OKC, and two studs that were the prime studs of the slate that no one had. And it worked out for him. $1 million. That was only one of them too. I mean, we had the guy that won 100K in the big tournament. I think that was a $12 tournament or whatever it was yesterday, 15, 12, doesn't really matter. Another guy hit 10K winning the $200, probably tons and tons more winners across the board. But the crazy part about our boy, the man, so he won the $3,000 Millie Maker. He would have won everything. He didn't somehow put it. He was nice enough to share it with the other dudes that entered the other stuff. He had the stone. I'm pretty sure he had the stone nuts. I didn't look at every tournament, but his team
He
was
had to
like
have.
perfect. So I think he would have won. Like, say he entered like 6 or 7 tournaments, he would have won everything. And again, he won $1 million. He doesn't give a shit if he would have won another 100K, but he would have shipped everything with that team. Awesome stuff. The man, great dude. He just had a baby. I think baby number 2. Great stuff. Love to see it.
Yeah, awesome stuff. And we're like, I'm glad you said that right away. Like, we're not trying to say like we won him the $1 million.
We did it too, because he played Gordon and Keon.
Yeah.
So we definitely, like, I could have had my best team yesterday. I still wouldn't have had Aaron Gordon,
No.
so I wouldn't have beat him. So
yeah, exactly. And that's like, you use the content, use the stuff we say, and then you have to make some pivots. Low own Aaron Gordon, people are on Greg Brown, Chris Dunn, other guys on Portland. No one played Keon Johnson. Look at that play. I mean, the whole team, like you said, I thought was just the Stones. One off Embiid early. People don't play it. We talked on the show, early show too. Like, if Embiid gets the minutes, he's absolutely going to smash. No one in Indiana can stop him. Everything just lined up. And yeah, we'll get to those other screenshots in a little bit, somewhere through the show. But there was a lot of them, very good nights. Man, go and head over to you. Last night, awesome one for sure. We got MLB tomorrow morning. We got Masters tomorrow, UFC this weekend. So much going on. Talk about yesterday, talk about what's going on this weekend, talk about what's going on in your world.
Yeah, I kind of had similar build, like just a way to like kind of talk about like what the man did, and like just if you're not a member, this is a great way to like kind of like see how you can use the content. Like, I wasn't on content yesterday besides 2 shows, so I did the 2 shows, and as I was digesting everything, I kind of had my own thoughts, and I said, let me just see like what the core is from some of the other guys. Like, I just was kind of creating my thoughts. I knew I was slamming in those OKC guys. And I was debating like really close up to lock. Like, I'd say like even 5 minutes in, like right before lock, I was like, I don't know 2 of my teams, but I for sure want to do an Embiid and Jokic team. I didn't know, but I did see Big T's core on it. And I had talked to some other people, and I was like, I'm going to put Embiid on one, because I just thought the Embiid Jokic combo would be different. And based on the news that we got, I felt like people would not be doing that build right away. And I thought we got that news late enough. And, that kind of gave me the confidence to put that in. And then listen, all you have to do is have the chips fall your way. Of course, I had a nice combo. I had Will Barton, who I happened to fall on, which I didn't want to play, but similar to Aaron Gordon, like 1% guy, he only got 24, but it easily could have been him who got the 42, and I could have been flipped, not winning $1 million because I wasn't in that contest, but doing well in other contests. So it's just about getting yourself on that path as much as possible, which having under-owned guys is a smart way to go, which again, Embiid, that's kind of the path that people talked about. And the man made some really great pivots there. So congrats to him on that.
He's in the chat too, celebrating with us, it looks like.
Yep.
What?
DC man, he's in there. He's
how ironic is that though? If your name's the man, you deserve to ship because you're the man. like Title said, it's a dad joke like freaking Hoop does, but I love it. I'm on board for this dad joke. You should be called the man when you ship it.
Yeah, the $1 million man. You got a lot of nicknames now.
We don't need to like talk about it forever, but I do think it's important. Like, sometimes when I see $1 million lineup in like an NBA, you'll see like a few guys in the build and you're like, man, I would have never had that build. That's a bad build. And again, that sounds stupid because they won $1 million, blah, 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 but it's just the truth. Sometimes it's not a good build and they got lucky. I'll say it again. His build was amazing. And it's not just because he won. It was perfect roster construction, mini stack, full stack, values, studs. It was how it's done. Congrats for sure.
Yeah, definitely awesome. We got tons of content too. Like, we got to talk about, like, the Masters is coming up. Like, I got 6 tickets in that $100 one, and like, we got a show tonight. So if you haven't signed up at Run Pure, like, sign up now. Be able to check out that video. Big T will be on the premium side talking about his player pool and everything like that. And Masters is a really fun tournament, and there's definitely some game theory involved in the Masters because it's a smaller field, where like Big T just had a really nice hit on a slate where he said he loves game theory slates. I mean, Big T, let me ask you this. Are you like thinking this is like kind of a game theory-ish slate? I know like you're pretty good at like course history and all that stuff too. So like, I don't know, I guess tell the people why they should listen tonight, because I think you have a really good read on how to play the Masters.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say everyone's going to think it's like a sales pitch to get you to sign up, but it's just not how I do things, as these guys know. I just feel very confident this week. Yeah, I value course history, other stuff. We got tons of resources up on the site at Run Pure. I feel very good, and I got some strong fades this week. I got some strong overs to talk about who I'm way higher than the field on. I think some people, that haven't been in the content, people that are just watching this for the first time, will be surprised with a few of my strong fades that have been a few guys that have treated me good in the past too. So Our golf content is as good as anyone's or better. I would take our crew versus anyone without a doubt. You see all these free podcasts, dudes that don't even play PGA DFS, selling content, doing content. We got guys that grind. I mean, we got guys that are our 9th and 10th, 11th, like most volume based people are still playing way more than other sites are playing, and great players. That's the best part about Run Pure. I mean, we got like 40 people now. Every one of them plays. Every one of them is super talented. And yeah, I value all of our sports. I play them all. I love MMA with Title, tennis with Susie, but hands down, I would say golf is our most value. And what more do you value than Masters Week? There's not a better week of golf with all these tournaments. So sounds like a sales pitch. I believe it. I'll use our content against anybody's. That's just how it is. And yeah, tonight, 9 p.m., me, Tambo, Uncle T, and I'm sure even afterwards we'll be in the Discord. Who knows? Maybe we'll even fire up a stream and just answer questions or something with whoever wants to hop on. Title, Mangone, Hoop, AP. We've done these a lot in the past. All we need is a few drinks to start flowing. We'll answer some questions, take some time to do it because it's Masters Week. Even if you don't like golf, you love Masters Week. So let's have some fun and pick some winners.
Yeah, no, I like how you say, Bet. Like, that's not a sales pitch. We will put our money behind what we believe, what we say, which you can't always find out there. And we do have a promo code for it. Masters 50 gets you 50% off your first week or your first month. It does not include SaberSim, but like I said, I mean, UFC 273, huge event this week. NASCAR, we have 3 really good NASCAR guys. Tennis, Susie's always in there grinding. It's a very fun sport to sweat out. So much content. I mean, baseball tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, Holden, DC, myself, opening day. We'll be live on YouTube for everyone. Very excited for all the content. I mean, so much going on. NBA playoffs, one of my favorite times of the year. That's right around the corner. And we still got a couple more days of the regular season and grind out. Always 100K up top, as always, in the NBA. So it's about that time. There's no better time to join the movement. Head over to Run Pure Sports, Masters 50. You can check it out. We got our man Tambo in chat. Yeah, I was thinking earlier, it was funny you said that, Big T. I was like, it would be one of those nights where we go on at 10:30, 11, and all the people file in on the live show chat, and we just answer questions and stuff. Tambo is in there. Sounds like he's in for that too. We got Hammer in chat, Gary, Stephen Coy, Coach, Matthew Moore, Hunter. Appreciate you guys all hanging out with us. Hit that like button, hit that big red subscribe button for us. We appreciate it. We got 6 games on this slate today. A couple teams, the Phoenix Suns. We talked about the Oklahoma City Thunder yesterday. They're back on this slate. Utah Jazz without Donovan Mitchell and stuff. So some news as always. We're not waiting for the most news, but it's April DFS. Anything can pop up. Like yesterday, we didn't expect that starting lineup for the Thunder and stuff. It flips the whole slate on its head. So who knows what we're going to get today. We got 1 game at 7 p.m. Eastern, 1 at 7:30, 2 games at 8, 1 at 9, 1 at 10. So that's kind of how it's spread out. We're going to get right into the first game for you. We'll have fun throughout the show. Hit the like, hit the subscribe for us. Dallas Mavericks, Detroit Pistons, 218.5 total. Dallas is favored by 8.5. Going to the injury report for Detroit. Jeremy Grant, Marvin Bagley, Corey Joseph, Kelly Olynyk, Hamidou Diallo, Rodney Magruder, Luka Garza, all out. Garza and Magruder, Bagley, those are the ones that are kind of recent, but a lot of those guys have been out for a while. As far as Dallas, Maxi Kleber, Tim Hardaway Jr. is out. Luka Doncic, obviously, 12K. We have some value on the slate with some injury news. He's going to be one of the premier spends, I think. Big T, I'll throw it over to you. Outside of Luka, do you see anything in this game? And how does Luka match up to some of the other studs on the slate?
Yeah, I mean, much like yesterday, you're just going to have to value these studs a little bit on these late slates where let me pull up the standings real quick. I know Denver losing yesterday had to help Dallas a little bit because I mean we're down to
Denver's pretty locked into that seed, I think, against the Warriors. I think that's who they're likely playing.
Well, especially after they lost, because I mean, well, they were tied with the Jazz. They were ahead of the Jazz yesterday. They were in the 5, and then so now they're like locked into it.
I don't know. I have some friends who are like Nuggets, like huge fans, and they were like, they went to the game last night and they were tilting that like they think they're locked into that spot basically.
Yeah, I mean, losing yesterday probably did screw them. I haven't looked at like who the Jazz play, but Yeah, I mean they're
they
half
don't
game.
have the tiebreaker with the Jazz. That's the key. So like they have to literally leap them. That's the huge problem.
Yeah, which they probably won't. I mean, they shouldn't have lost that game anyways. I'd be okay playing the Warriors, as crazy as that sound. I don't think they're that good, but the Mavs still, I think, definitely want to win, which is the key. I mean, they're only one game back of the Warriors, and the 3 seed to me is the nut spot. You're away from the Suns. You get to play the Grizz, who we can say whatever we want about the Grizz. They don't have the most postseason experience. I'll take my chances with them over a lot of teams, whether they're good or not, no matter what you think about them.
It's easier than the Suns, right, Big T?
Yeah,
like, that's
I mean,
the key.
Yeah, 100%. You're on the opposite side of the Suns. Who knows? Maybe CP3 comes down with an injury by the time you have to play them. Big advantage, I think, to being away from the Suns as far as possible. Obviously, that's what everyone probably thinks. But point being, back to circle back, yes, Luka. The Mavs need to win. Just like yesterday, we said the Nuggets, the Sixers had motivations. Dallas definitely has motivation. So I'm going to be all aboard the Luka train tonight. Probably not that much else, though, from Dallas. With these teams, like Denver, should I say that Gordon won the dude $1 million last night. I don't love the other pieces, though. Yeah, you can get different and make some plays. And then look at the Detroit side. There's just not a ton you need. I mean, I was playing this Livers dude for a while. His price is caught up, though. He was $3K for a few of those slates. Nice play. But all these guys now being priced up, I don't think you need to. And like Mangone always says, you don't really want to lock up spots early unless you feel good. If you feel good about guys like yesterday, there's a few Embiid early and stuff. That's fine. But I think for me, it's just going to be play Luka and move on from the early slot.
That's kind of what I'm seeing too. This is the only game that locks at 7 p.m. Eastern too. So you buy yourself 30 more minutes. Mangone, do you kind of see it the same way, Luka or Fade, or do you see something else?
Yeah, well, another important thing to note with this game is like the Pistons, we've had some value with them for like the past couple slates where the prices have gone up, where they don't feel like must plays to get in there. And I'm definitely in the camp of backloading at times, but the key is, let's say you do backload, especially for this OKC stuff. Like Oliver Sarr just got waived. So I know Big T is probably upset because he's an Oliver Sarr guy, but he's not on the team anymore. I don't know what they're going to do. They just signed Melvin Frazier Jr.
You know what they're going to do, Mangone? I'll say the same thing I said on the premium show yesterday. They're going to play these dudes they just signed. They're going to run them into the ground, and we're going to reap the harvest from it.
Correct. So the key is what you need to do is like, and this is what I like about this slate. Let's say that game was on an island, right? With like the Blazers, like it was like the 10 p.m. game a week or two ago, and that's all you had left. Yeah. That's a problem. But you know what? You actually have really good pivots later on.
You have the best game after in the Suns, pretty much.
Exactly. But the thing is, a lot of people are going to do that. So like one thing I'm actually considering on this slate, when we talk about the next game, I have a strategy that I want to discuss that I think could be really interesting. But in this game, you can just lock yourself in the Luka and move on. I think it's the best way to do it. Seriously, like I don't see myself like if a Pistons on the winning lineup, like I kind of said yesterday, and the Magic did fine, but I said if an Orlando Magic player is on the winning lineup, I'm happy to lose today. I'm happy to lose if a Detroit Piston is on the winning lineup. I will just move on to the next slate because I like other values. And yes, the Magic did fine yesterday, but my other values were way better for those 3K price tags that I had the confidence in as kind of the slate was developing. So just Luka or bust, and you can play Luka on your teams and you're perfectly fine. Like it's like Embiid yesterday. You could put Embiid on your team and you don't feel locked out. The only reason you kind of felt a little locked out was you were probably slamming Jokic also, and that can hurt your flexibility a little bit. You don't really have that issue with Luka. So it's Luka or bust for me too here.
Yeah, so I got a little spicy take because I like giving it to the free people. I'm not on here all the time. The more I look at this, the more I realize these Detroit guys are going to be super limited. I think we can have a little sneaky play out of the gate here with Carson Edwards. I mean, it reminds me a little of the OKC spot where the Pistons are done. They just want to get a little simmer of what they can see from a dude. He just played 31 minutes, 34 fantasy points. He's 3,500. I think you could see a little extended run here from a guy like Carson Edwards, and we've seen him in college just go nutty at times. I mean, yeah, he might not be a core piece, but I'd keep my eye on it. He's the type of play that could bust things open here.
The important thing to mention with your call on Edwards that I actually don't hate is, and I always talk about positions and that being really important, but like I thought it was important yesterday. You had on these OKC guys, and I don't want to talk too much about them, but I do think they're going to be key today.
Yeah.
You had that Georgius Kalaskias, wherever his name is. He was 3K and he was a small forward. And Xavier Simpson, he was a shooting guard. Today they're both small forward eligible. I don't know why Simpson's now small forward, but you can,
especially because he's literally a point guard. He's just a small little dude. He's not no small forward.
Yeah, he's got that hook shot like that small forward.
I'll admit I did not watch the game closely, so I don't.
He's literally like 5'8". Like
that's
he's
like the Terry Taylor stuff. DK had him power forward, FanDuel has him shooting guard. Like which one?
Yeah, but the point I'm getting at is like you don't like put in a guard spot and you're a little worried. Like yesterday, Trey Jones was a guard that I felt like I needed, and if I put him in. And then I put in like a point guard at the guard position. Well, that could mess up some of my flexibility in general. And I don't know if that's going to mess it up too much. I think you have enough shooting guard options too that you can go to. That guy who got signed, I believe he's shooting guard eligible for OKC. Jordan Clarkson, someone we'll talk about later. He's shooting guard eligible. So is a Kyrie Irving in the next game who we could talk about too. But like the point I'm getting at is I don't hate that take from you, Big T, because of his guard position. I think that matters a little bit.
No, I think it's interesting too. The one thing, because I was looking at like him, Saban Lee was another one. So Saban Lee played 2 games ago and he played 34 minutes. He had 38 DK points. He didn't play last game against the Pacers. And that's where Carson Edwards did play the 30 minutes at 34 DK points. It's late in the season. Obviously, we don't know the rotations. I think one of them could be interesting.
I just think they know what they got with Saban though. Like they've seen him play enough. I think you can roll the dice on these dudes that like Braxton Key. They really haven't played that much until like how much is he? Let me pull him up.
Braxton Key. He's played the past like 6 games.
So he's got pretty good run. He played 30 and 28 the last 2. These are the type of guys though that I think you can like. I wouldn't gamble on Saban as much as I would Carson. I guess unless like the starters or unless a report changed it or something.
What if neither starts? Like it's Killian Hayes and that. If it's neither,
then I probably wouldn't. I probably wouldn't do it then, just because OKC. Make no mistake about it. Those dudes that start for OKC, the scrubs and the guys that just got signed, are gonna be unbelievable plays again. Make no mistake about that. But just as like pivots, though, I think
Tony, the only way they're not though is if like Maldon and Poku and all those guys start, and then it gets more like dicey.
Then it gets more murky. I just don't think they'll like with only a few games back. I just would be stunned if they like came and rolled those guys big minutes. I don't know. I mean, obviously, if they come in the starting lineup, I agree 100% with Mangone. It gets a lot more, and then you're going to be happy you played a few of these Pistons. You might end up shipping because of it. If the normal OKC guys start, you might wish you had a few of these Pistons guys that are going to run extra minutes at no ownership. Like no one's playing Carson Edwards, and I mean, if he ends up in the starting lineup, then maybe, but still,
he's definitely not going to be too owned. Yeah, it gets really interesting. That game's at 9, an hour after 4 games lock. But we did, like I said, the Phoenix. They don't have Booker. They don't have a lot of guys, 8 and all them. There is some value there. That game's at 10 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, the last 2 games definitely going to be important to talk about. Someone also mentioned in chat Dwight Powell. Like, man, center's pretty good on this slate. There's JaVale McGee, then there's Gobert. There's other options where I don't think a Dwight Powell's needed. Big T doesn't like it either. So that's enough of that game. Luka, maybe a Carson Edwards or something if they start.
I kind of like these Pistons guys. I'm just going to say it. That just shows how things change. Even this Pickett dude, I kind of like these. It's tournaments. We're trying to win tournaments. I think these Pistons guys that they want to take. I mean, Pickett just played 39 minutes last game. Like,
see why I'm so confused. So no, that was on
2 games ago. Well, whatever it was. Yeah. I mean, they could be alternating dudes and stuff, but
it must be because
we'll have a lineup though before it goes. And like, if these dudes like, don't be surprised if they throw a weird lineup in there. Like,
so if they
don't play any of these dudes, like they could sit Cade, sit Stewart, sit Sadiq Bey, sit all these dudes. What if they start like Edwards and Pickett and Livers, and that could easily happen.
If they did what OKC did yesterday, then you're all in for sure. I mean, we'll get that starting lineup.
How are you going to weigh it with them versus the OKC versus Phoenix versus other value?
I mean, if I see Carson Edwards starting or like Braxton Key, I mean, we already saw him play 37 minutes. Like Saban Lee, the 35 would like if those guys start, like we already seen. I feel like you have to. Because like, why would Cade not start and still play? Like,
why would they play Cade anyways?
Didn't he do that the other day? Like, I know, like one of the
well, he played what, like 5 minutes?
8 minutes.
Against OKC, he played 7.7 minutes, and he's an Oklahoma guy, right? Like, you'd assumed in OKC would have played. Like, so it's just like, I don't know. The one thing I will say that I kind of agree with Big T on is I think one of these guys could be interesting. You could also play one of them and it just be the differentiation piece. And like, you don't have to like load the boat where you still have flexibility. Like, so I don't hate it. I don't know which guy it is, but it's definitely a strategy I don't mind. The more
there's not all that much risk to it. It sounds like more risk than there actually is there. Say you guess wrong and they don't play as much. I mean, they're still cheap and they're still going to play. I mean, they're still going to get you something. They're not going to ruin your night. It's just not going to happen.
Someone's saying Pickett's out.
Guys, I like is this
Pickett's out.
I'm seeing that he was in, but multiple people have said that. So if he's out, then they're down to 9.
Yeah. The one guy I want to talk about is Isaiah Livers because he's power forward eligible, and like power forward isn't like incredible tonight. Like it's fine. Obi Toppin is really good, but Obi Toppin's gonna be popular, right? Just this is tournaments. We're trying to think of a really unique strategy to get the job done. And if you plugged in Isaiah Livers and you plugged in Luka, is that going to ruin your like lineup construction fully? No, it's not. Especially if you want those OKC small forwards, especially if you want a Bogdanovich who's a forward or a Cam Johnson. There's just guys that you can plug in there. So you're selling me a little bit more on it than I thought you would, Big T. But knowing me, I'll just probably end up back with him.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what the lineup is too. Like, say they come and they start all their although the flip side to them starting like a normal team is then you get these dudes literally totally unowned, and there's still the chance that they go in and play their first run and then just don't play anymore. And you get these guys. I mean, you're telling me I could get these Pistons guys at like 1% owned, literally, if they're not in. I mean, that's a value to me in the last week. It just is. It's only a 6-game slate.
And one last thing I want to mention about Redmond said in the chat, Bay has a games played streak where he could start and just not even like he could literally play 4 minutes. So like Redmond brought up a really good point with that. And we've seen that kind of stuff in the past. Guys just get starts for that because they want to keep stupid streaks alive. So wouldn't be surprised if that happened with the Pistons for sure.
Isn't he like a damn rookie anyways? Like, what kind of streak could he have? Is he a second year?
I don't think he's like ever missed a game though. Do you ever remember a game that he's missed? Like, I'm trying to think about it. It feels like he always plays.
2020. Wow, that was more recent than I even thought. I mean, he probably hasn't missed a game since then. That's what
I was thinking in my head. I'm like, he's only played like 2 years. Yeah, but either way, I agree with that point though. They could easily start these guys, play them 20 minutes, and that's it.
Yeah, we saw him do it with Cade. That's enough of that, though. We talked Detroit Pistons and Dallas Mavericks for a while. Luka, for sure, good play. Then you can look at some of these Pistons. Don't play like a Cade and stuff like that in April DFS with only a couple days left. So that's the approach there. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button for us. We appreciate it. We'll pick a certain number you guys got to get to in a game or two. But hit that like, hit that subscribe. We appreciate it. Next game on the slate, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Brooklyn Nets, New York Knicks. 230 total. Brooklyn is favored by 5. On the Nets side, Ben Simmons is out. He might be out all year. Who knows? Dragic out. James Johnson out. Joe Harris out. Seth Curry probable. As far as the Knicks side, Julius Randle, Kemba, Nerlens Noel, Derrick Rose, Cam Reddish all out. Miles McBride, Quentin Grimes questionable. Obi Toppin, Mangone, you mentioned him. He's going to be popular. He's a good play for sure. I'm going right back to my boy Emmanuel quickly after what he did for me on Sunday. No doubt about that. There's RJ Barrett. Your play of the day was Claxton on Sunday, I believe, Mangone. Was that yesterday? I don't even know.
Yesterday. He got like 22. It wasn't amazing, but he
didn't kill you. But you said
I have on one team that cashed, so it worked out.
You said you had a plan in this game or a strategy or something you were saying. So talk about that. Talk about what you like in this game.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear what you guys think about it. So, like, one thing I think you can do, I do think power forward is a position where if you pay up for like a Kevin Durant, that could be really intriguing. Also, like, Kyrie is dealing with, I know I forget which holiday it is, right? But he can't drink water or eat after sundown and stuff. So like Kyrie might have some trouble at times, and they might lean, just kind of, if they're leaning on Kevin Durant, they might do that throughout the game where they don't exhaust too much energy out of him, especially if they're cruising. And KD is a really good spend up to me. And I think also another good spend up is RJ Barrett at the small forward position. Now, small forward is very valuable today. I think it's a really good position. But I do think if you plugged in RJ Barrett and Kevin Durant and backloaded till the last 2 games, you can make a really good team with those final 2 games and those 2 spend ups with all the values that you have. So that's something I'm definitely going to look at, because Barrett's a really good option. They're just still giving him a ton of minutes. Obi Toppin is like that too. Another guy that he's getting the minutes and he's a good option. But Kevin Durant is just a contrarian spend up, in my opinion, at this power forward position that no one is going to go to. And he easily could have a massive game here in this spot. Also, the Knicks, they play a little bit bigger normally. I know Toppin's not that big, but I do think Mitchell Robinson, with him protecting the rim, I mean, that's a guy that Kevin Durant maybe can take some of those shots from the outside and have a massive game. I mean, he's going to have Obi Toppin on him. He's going to absolutely destroy him if he wants to. So I think KD is a really good spend up, along with RJ Barrett, and then just kind of backload your teams. I'm curious to hear what you guys think about that, because I think it's a interesting way to approach this game with getting exposure to it in a contrarian way.
I'll go right to you on that, Big T. I will never say no to Kevin Durant. I do think the ownership is depressed. The price tag's up there. But talk about that. Talk about what you see on the Knicks and any other Nets for you.
Yeah, I'm all about KD. Again, I mean, we have the values. I want to gamble on values like I talked about with the Pistons, OKC, later guys. We have value. Whether it's obvious value or not will depend on who starts in certain games. But there will be value, and I'm okay gambling on it anyways if I got to play a guy that doesn't appear obvious. So, which means I'm on guys like KD.
And they need to win. Luka even. They need to win, Big T. That's something that you like.
Exactly.
This time of year.
And they want to just get some W's. Like, they just haven't been great, even with Kyrie back. I just think, I love KD. I love the call. Barrett, not so much for me on Barrett. I mean, 8K. He just hasn't shown me much lately. I mean, you look, just not that many big games. I just think his price tag's big, and I worry about motivation when you're paying big prices at this point of the year. I'd rather just play the studs that I know for sure are going to play, which makes, I mean, Barrett should be pretty low owned because of that, just falling in that range where he kind of slips through. But I'd rather play a guy like Quickly, who just went off 6,100, and Obi for that matter. The Nets have no rim protection. I don't think that many people will play Obi tonight when it's all said and done. And I like playing guys like Obi against the Nets just because he's super athletic, goes in and gets a bunch of easy buckets through dunks, tip ins, all that stuff, which is easy on the Nets. That's one of the reasons the Nets have struggled. So for me, I definitely will be on Obi and Quickly right around 6K. Don't think I can play Barrett, but even like Burks, I don't really want to play Burks at 6,600. I think it's just going to be some Kyrie, some Kevin Durant, and then Quickly and Obi mixed in. I don't even know how they're going to fit though, just because I would prefer to play the really cheap guys, stars and studs, or stars and scrubs again with Luka, Durant. I mean, and then we'll get to a few guys later, Trey, and different pieces later.
Would you have a rule, like if you play a Kyrie or a KD, I assume would play max of one, but if you played one of them,
on this slate, I would for sure. Some slates I wouldn't, but on this slate, I would for sure. Just because I'm for sure going to have Luka. I don't really see both KD and Kyrie, but that could be something that gets you different if you did it. I wouldn't personally do it though.
Would you make sure to have a Quickly or Obi with that one of them though, and hoping it stays close? Or
depends on the value you show me. if we don't get any value, then I like those guys a lot more.
So yeah, that's not a rule you would set, but you would set at most one.
I like it though. Just in general, like I would really like Quickly or Obi or both. Like Quickly, Obi, Durant, I think is a nice little mini stack.
I would like to Quickly a little more. I think I just like Quickly can go back and forth with you. Like I said, like you want a guys that can fill it up in bunches. His usage, I mean, he had like 27% usage. You got triple double. I love Quickly. Obviously, I'll be right back on him. But like an Obi's not going to go back and forth and hit 6 threes with Kevin Durant, where Quickly it could get fun in the Garden. So I think it's an interesting game. The Nets need to win. Always playing studs in games that you need to win at this time of year. You can never go wrong with that. It always makes sense. He'll be low owned too. So I like it, man. I like your thought process there. What do we got? 364 watching, 139 likes, 205 likes for the plays of the day. 205 had to add in a little 5 there. If you're not a member, you want to join, head over to Run Pure Sports. Masters 50 gets you 50% off your first weekly or monthly payment. Tomorrow, huge day in the industry. MLB opening day. Make sure to check also FanDuel and DraftKings. They're running different size. Their slates are different. FanDuel locks earlier. It's pretty much all the games, I think. DraftKings is a little later. So make sure you check on that when you're registering contests. The Masters in the morning, UFC, NASCAR, all that good stuff. But it's time for the Members Never Win segment. We have to shout out the huge day yesterday. Multiple people, a lot more than just these four too. But the four we're talking about, Drew Carp, 26. Drew Carpenter's always smashing, $15,655.55. Drew Carpenter, congrats to you. Shaw's Demon, $19,881. Awesome stuff. Clyones, 1975, the $100,000. Man, awesome stuff, Clyones. And then the Man 11, $1 million. We talked about it. We could talk about it for a long time. $1 million. Man, imagine waking it up. I shouldn't even say imagine, the big T. Mangone, I'll go to you. Imagine waking up $1 million richer. Wouldn't that be something, Mangone?
Would be, but like I'll say this, like I know Big T went out to the steakhouse and he normally lives his normal life. I don't think anything would change. I think I would literally do the same thing I did the next day. Like I don't think anything, but we're having a party. If I win the golf,
I did feel good that night though, for the record.
Yeah.
I went back to the grind the next day, but I did feel good that night.
I will say I want to hit this golf million this week. That way, you know, we said it, Big T. Whoever hits the next million, everyone's going to their place.
That's
so
a fact too. If someone that run pure staff wise ships, they're having a damn party. I don't care who it is. They're throwing the party because we're coming.
No,
correct. So I'm hoping to hit it for golf this week. That way I can have everyone here this week. That's the plan. Hit the golf millie this weekend and then see everyone next week. We watch some NBA playoffs.
I'll be flying in Monday to celebrate with Mangone.
Yeah, I agree with you though, Mangone. Like everyone, nothing would change in my life. That is for sure. At least that's how I operate, Mangone, and Big T the same way. But I mean,
the only thing it does, it frees you up just a little bit. Like just with the normal day-to-day stuff, you don't have the normal grind. But still, my life hasn't changed. I can promise you that. For sure, a slight bit of stress is gone, but you're still living the same freaking. Nothing has changed. I'd be doing literally everything I'm doing right now if that didn't happen.
Yeah, just maybe those lights wouldn't be blue and red and stuff.
Yeah, we'd have no lights back there.
That's true. I will admit, if I do win, Big T, if I win, I will. The background will be painted. Will be good.
That's about it. But yeah, the Man, $1 million, man. Congrats to you. That is really, really awesome stuff. That's for sure. But enough of that. We got 6 games on this slate. We got through 3 of them. 205 likes is the number. You guys only need 50 more. I know you guys are going to get it there for us. But next game on the slate, I got 4 more games. Washington Wizards, Atlanta Hawks, 234 total. Atlanta is favored by 10.5. On the Washington side, Bradley Beal and Kuzma are out. Going to the Atlanta side, John Collins, Lou Williams out. Gallo and Bogdanovic are questionable again. Bogdanovic played, Gallo didn't yesterday, so that is something to note. Mangone, I'll go back to you in this game. It's a pretty high total. It's supposed to be pretty close. Someone in chat said Gafford, so I'll start you off with Gafford and then talk about the rest of the guys.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely not a bad game. Gafford's like fine, but like not someone I'm prioritizing. Like it's also Clint Capella's like not a guy to attack and Gafford's not like this offensive beast. So I don't know. I'm not super excited about this Washington side. Like kind of feels like yesterday. If a Washington guy beats me, so be it. I'll take my L. And I'm definitely not down with Kristaps Porzingis. He can definitely be a frustrating roster. So I'm kind of out on these Wizards here. I do like some of the Hawks. Like Clint Capella at 6'3", there's definitely upside there. And we've attacked the Wizards with centers throughout the year. So I think Clint Capella is a really good option in the mid-tier. If you land on him, perfectly fine with that. I definitely have had a bit of a Bogdanovic problem lately, but I think he's like at 5'5". I still think he's a pretty good play that you can get some exposure to. They need to win games, and Gallinari, if he ends up being out, that's obviously good because that gives one less guy that can mess up who's closing within the lineup. So I think Bogdanovic at 5'5" is in play, and some of these other guys like Herter, it just depends on who's in and out. Trae Young is definitely another good spend up that I'm considering. So overall, I think Capella and Trae Young are my 2 favorites in this game. And the other guys, like they're all in play, like Bogdanovic, maybe a Herter if a Gallinari's out, or a Hunter if a Gallinari's out, but not guys I'd be prioritizing. More guys that kind of like are last pieces in that you mix and match throughout your lineups that can be like those fillers that are maybe low owned. And we did also just get news that Royce O'Neal is now doubtful. So more news kind of pouring in on these later games.
Yeah, I was just getting the 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock Eastern. There's only 2 games after 8. that lock. So we might not have the news before that, but man, those two games are very elite. So when we get to those, we'll talk game theory and stuff for sure. But Bogdanovich, I mean, you say Bogdanovich problem. Yeah, some games, but he had 38 yesterday, 3 games ago, 32, 37. He was 5'9" yesterday. I mean, 5'9", 6'1", 6'3", 6'6", all that. His price dropped. He's 5.5K now, man, going. So like if Gallo's out for sure, I think he's definitely interesting. They need to win games.
The key title is like, and I think people forget this with this Hawks team, and you're going to see this too in the playoffs with some teams. Like you don't always know who's going to close, especially with the Hawks. Some teams you know who the closing lineup is, some you don't. And when you eliminate guys that could be the closers, well, that eliminates the chances of your guy like not getting taken out of the lineup and completely busting, that's the key with some of these Hawks. That's why I think the Gallinari news is really big. And like if a Bogdanovich happened to sit, a DeLon Wright would now just naturally be the ball handler that would pop up as a value out of nowhere that people probably wouldn't jump on. So this Hawks news is definitely bigger than I think people realize.
Yep, I like it for sure. Big T, go to you. You like Luka. You talked about KD liking him. So does that mean Trey at 10-5 is going to fall out? Anybody else? The Bogdanovich Gallo news, talk about that. What do you see in this game?
Yeah, and I think I'd rank them that way too. I might rank Trey maybe ahead of KD. Those two are simple, but I think you could actually be different even playing KD and Trey and not playing Luka. Just shifting those. Go either way. I want the studs up top. I want them to go with the scrubs. And the important thing you guys talked about is the Hawks are one of the teams with the Nets playing for maybe the most of anybody these last couple games because they're tied for 8th right now. People don't realize it as much because we only talk about the play-in and being in the tournament, but it's a big difference between 8 and 9 because you got to win. If you lose, you can play again, but it's only one win and you're in there. It's a little bit easier of an angle, I think. So they definitely want to be the 8 seed. And just a great play, Trey Young. As far as the middle of the pack, I think those plays are good on normal slates, like the Bogdans, Capellas, those guys in a normal spot. I would like them, but man, I have to play the stars and scrubs, and they just don't fit in those builds as much. If they're a last piece in, Bogdan, and he's in, is he for sure in tonight?
No, him and Gallo are questionable.
Yeah. So, I mean, whoever ends up being in on the wing, you can definitely play him as like a last piece in type thing. I just would rather play these OKC guys that I know are going to play 40 minutes. And no matter what, too, if it's a blowout, they're going to play. If it's close, they're going to play. That's my roster construction. Super simple tonight. And I just don't think I'll end up on any Atlanta or Washington for that matter, besides Trey Young.
Yeah, I don't like Washington as much. And like, if you're just like on the edge of Bogdanovich, why would you waste a roster spot where you don't know the lineup exactly and you want the more flexibility as possible? So I like Trey Young for sure. 10-5 though. I think KD's like 11-3, so 800 discount there. But yeah, I don't have as much interest in this full game as if it was a smaller slate or the value was different. I mean, we got Utah, news coming in, Phoenix, OKC. Don't think you need to go overboard on a game like this. So I agree with you there. Let's get into the next game on the slate.
I can tell you one lock is definitely this Melvin Frazier dude that just signed. You could definitely lock him in for 3K.
He is only, we haven't got to the game, but he is only shooting guard eligible. So like, don't put like maybe Kyrie in that spot, right? Like be a little smart about it for sure. Like,
definitely leave your 3 because I mean they've shown it twice now in the last week. When they sign these dudes, they run them in there to see what they got. So I would definitely plan on him starting, and I would definitely plan on him playing 40 minutes.
Big T leading me right into the next game, and that is this game, 9:00 Eastern, big game. Big T keeps talking about it. The Oklahoma City Thunder, the Utah Jazz, 217.5 total. Utah is favored by 15.5. Going to, I skipped a whole game. I was getting excited. I didn't talk about Boston or Chicago. Oh my, all right, we'll go back.
You can skip that game title. I mean, not totally, but yeah.
I was going to say, it might take a little bit, but I do want to go in order. Boston Celtics, Chicago Bulls, 224.5 total. Boston is favored by 7. For Chicago, Caruso doubtful, Lonzo out, and Zach LaVine is probable. Going over to the Boston side, Robert Williams is still out. That's it there. Mangone, you say just pass. You got nothing in this game for me?
Only thing I'll really give you is like Patrick Williams at 3.5. If like the value hasn't developed and like, I mean, of course, like it might not develop by 8. So like maybe you just keep waiting, which I think you should. But if you really don't think it's going to develop the way you want it, like Pat Williams at 3.5, sure. I wouldn't tell you it's a terrible idea. You can make an argument that DeRozan and Vooch and Levine, they can all have a big game, but you have to guess who's going to be the guy. I don't want to guess who's going to be the guy. The matchup isn't easy. I think the Bulls are terrible. Celtics, I think, beat them up pretty good. And I'm out on this game. Just feels like a pass, and you just wait for these last two.
Big T, DeMar, absolutely on fire yesterday. They still pretty much get blown out. Any thoughts on him? Anybody else in this game?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those games I'm definitely going to try to stay away from. You could make a case for like the Tatums of the world, but man, I just can't play him over some of those other studs we already talked about. I'm just not convinced the Celtics have that much to play for, even though they're tied for the 2. I mean, is there really the big difference between 2, 3, 4? I don't know.
Two is big if you get the Nets, but you don't know if you're going to get them.
Yeah, you just don't know. Like, I agree with you. Like, you just don't. It's hard for these teams to play it out. If I was these teams, and this is how I make the decisions, because I've followed basketball a long time, and I'm not always right. I'm not even saying that. But if I was in charge of the Celtics, I would definitely limit the minutes a little bit, get them ready for the playoffs. If you get the 2, 3, or 4, it's all super. You almost want the 4 so you can play the Heat. I just don't think there's that much risk to just resting your guys a little bit. Not saying they're going to fully sit them, but play them 25, 30 minutes and just kind of coast a little bit. If you win, they still might win too, because the Bulls suck, like Mangone said. And then from the Bulls side, I mean, they're the 6. They look almost locked into the 6. I don't really, maybe they could get to the 5, but is that really that big of a difference too? We could argue that point. I'm just going to make these slates easy. I mean, I got Masters fever. We got clear-cut stars. We got clear-cut values. I just don't need to force it. I do agree with Mangone, though. Like, if we see some news or something, you could play a Patrick Williams. You could play a Javonte Green, a Colby White. But I still just want to play the OKC guys over them. I want the OKC guys. I guess the risk is that they start the normal guys when we get to this OKC game. But then even then, you still got Phoenix and some Clippers dudes, and you got pivots. So I don't see myself playing this game.
Would you go like an Ayo, Kobe, Patrick Williams, those guys, or do you like the Detroit cheapies more? If you're like 150 and they want to mix it up,
I think the Bulls are way safer, but knowing me, and you guys know me by now, I like the risk of those Pistons guys. And I think the Pistons guys have way more ups. And I say that assuming none of these Bulls guys were to sit or something, like DeRozan sits then obviously Kobe would be an incredible
play.
Here's another reason to like the Pistons more. You have more information. You have a whole hour ahead of time to actually know what your guys did. Now, of course, could one of your players be at 15 and then he ends at 30 because he's a monster fourth quarter? Yes, sure. But I actually think there's not that much of a difference between the plays, that I would rather have the hour of information to decide what to do with my lineups.
Yep, good point for sure. People in chat, we got Bart, we got Phila, Bulls are fraudulent, Celtics -7 free money. Yeah, we talked on this show yesterday, thought the Bucks would run them out. I'm not very high in the Bulls. They need Lonzo in the playoffs. They need his defense. They need his facilitating. I think this team's in trouble in the playoffs for sure. But next game on the slate where I thought we were, Oklahoma City Thunder, Utah Jazz. It starts at 9, 217.5 total. Utah is favored by 15.5. On the Utah side, Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley, Azubuike all out. Royce O'Neal, we just got that news. He's doubtful now. Trent Forrest is questionable. On the OKC side, it's a long one. Hang in there with me. SGA, Baisley, Giddey, Trey Mann, Lou Dort, Kendrick Williams, Derek Favors, Ty Jerome, Mike Muscala, all out. And Kalis Gigas, however the heck you pronounce his name, he is probable, so he's playing. Is that the guy with the Kalagas Long, Big T, that was on the playbook? Is that him? Kalagas Long is probable. That's an easier name to pronounce. Big T, I'm not going to say much. We have injuries in this game. You keep talking about OKC. You can't ignore this Utah side either, though, obviously. So it's a good game. Break it down.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game is somewhat cut and dry, but like Mangone and Title both said, like, you're going to have to wait for more news. So you're going to have to be kind of flexible with your roster. What I like to do is plug the pieces in that I think will be effective in there. And then if you have to change, you just change. But just know that a lot could change in this game. I mean, you just said that Royce O'Neal was rolled out, right?
Yeah, he's doubtful now.
Yeah, he's out, basically.
Yeah, I could just see. Let me pull the Jazz up just a minute. Oh yeah, we already talked. Jazz do need to win though. I mean, because if they lose, then the Nuggets are right back. Like Mangone said, the Jazz have the tiebreak over them. But if they can secure like 1 or 2 more wins, then they're locked into that 5 seed, which honestly, they might not even want the 5 seed. Just looking at it, this is why it might have secretly helped the Nuggets, in my opinion, even though you have to play the Warriors. You get that ability to stay away from the Suns too, which is good. Keep me away from the Suns, I'll play anyone else. So it might have been a blessing in disguise to fall to that 6 hole. So maybe the Jazz want to lose too, honestly. I mean, why would you want to play the Suns earlier than you have to? So I know everyone's like, oh, teams don't worry about this, blah, blah, blah. But if you can sit guys and maybe slide back, that helps both worlds. But either way, back to the DFS side, these Jazz guys are going to be very interesting depending on who starts. I wouldn't play like a Bojan probably, but Clarkson's been known to go off in scoring spots where he's in there. A guy like Nah, you want to talk about a sneaky guy? I think he'll be sneaky depending on how the news breaks. I mean, 3K for Nah against OKC? Are you kidding me? He could freaking light that scoreboard up. Whiteside in a game like this where Gobert might get a little more limited, 3,600. I mean, the younger guys, Jared Butler, 3K. You just have guys that are extremely cheap in massive upside spots. Like OKC, if they start this scrub unit again, these Utah guys are not going to play big minutes. So back to my original point, like you just want to play the studs and then get these scrubs once we get lineups. Like Utah could reasonably sit Gobert still, play Nah, White. Imagine if Whiteside and Nah both start at 3,600 and 3K, like mortal locks. You're going to need spots for them, like mortal locks. You're never fading Whiteside at 3,600 if he somehow started in this game. Even if he doesn't start, I think he's in play because it's going to blow out if they play their dudes. So either way, we need lineups. So obviously there's not a ton. I mean, Trent Forrest is 3K too. This is just an example, and Mangone says this best when he knows how to. You just need to leave flexibility open. Like there's so many plays in this game and the next game, Phoenix, that you don't need to make set decisions until start at 9 until 8:45 when we get all the as much news as we can have. So sit on it, wait for a Utah lineup, and then OKC. I have the same feelings. Like I'm not gonna play Poku or Maladon, no matter what. Even if they start, I'm not playing those guys.
You're playing LeBron Jr. though, right? Jalen Horde, that man,
that dude. I'm definitely playing him if he's in that starting lineup. I'll tell you, he's been just smashing. But it's pretty simple for me. Like I'm gonna play the cheap pieces from OKC. Whoever starts, I think that whoever the dude is, I said that Melvin Frazier, I think is gonna be a lock as long as he starts. And just wait for the news. Tons of pieces in this game, though. Don't worry about like having a set path because I promise you there'll be pivots. You can pivot your team based on these games. You don't need to worry about it until we get lineups.
Yeah, because
like Mangone always talks about too. See how your team's doing early. If you need to pivot to someone more aggressive, pivot to someone more risky as the slate winds down.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. The more we're talking like Whiteside, just say in util spot, if an OKC guy's chalky, you're not looking good early. Whiteside's still a fine play. And if Big T's right, where they don't play a Gobert or something like that, you're going to want Whiteside. Big T, I want to go to you quick. So like you wouldn't play Gobert in this.
I would definitely not play Gobert. I would not play normal rotation piece. I struggle even with Clarkson a little bit. The thing about Clarkson is he can go nuke though.
He's going to be one of the chalkiest on the slate.
That's my favorite plays to fade, as you guys know too.
That's what I mean. So are you fading?
Just don't like. Do we really need to play Clarkson when they know he's a key rotation? He is a good play in cash. You're probably going to play him as long as he's in there. In those safer formats, sure, but if you're trying to win a big tournament, I definitely think he's a good fade. I mean, who's someone comparable price in this game?
You'd have
to Horde. I know they're not the same position, but 5K, I would much rather play him. Mini LeBron, as you call them.
Yeah, well, he has been mini LeBron for me. It's always the same numbers he puts up for me as LeBron. Mangone, I'll go to you. A lot in this game. Obviously, we like the starters. We're going to have to wait for the starters, but what do you have to say about it?
Yeah, definitely a lot to say. So let's start with OKC. Let's just get that out of the way. Listen, we'll be in the Discord chat, really breaking that down. It's hard to know for sure. Save the flexibility. Definitely like Horde though. Horde man gets paid and he is going to definitely pay us tonight. So I like Horde. I like Frazier. I'm sure he's going to get a ton of run. And Simpson and Gorgeous Calla, whatever you called him, the Schlong man. I don't know what you put in the cores the other day.
Gorgeous
I don't know what I put in there either.
I don't either, but that's just how it came
I
out.
saw something with a Schlong at the end or something, and I was like, okay, like Big T's clearly on this guy. But those cheapies, that's what I want. I don't want the Pokus. I don't want the Maldons, the Robies, those guys. Now, if those guys start, then I am more nervous about the 3K guys because they're not going to get as much run. So I'm not just going to load the boat on them. I want that starting lineup. That's very important. I was very shocked to hear you guys mention one of my favorite plays on the entire slate, and it is Hassan Whiteside. And the reason why is I didn't just pull these stats out of nowhere, but I pulled up Hassan Whiteside's game logs against OKC, just in his entire career. Big T, here's my question to you. Projection sites, I'm not going to tell you how many minutes they have projected on him, but I assume Whiteside plays like 20 or more minutes. What is your projection on minutes you would have for him tonight?
Just on the top of my head, I would have said 20 off the top of my, I would have put it like 28 Gobert, 20 for Whiteside, just in my head, not factoring that much.
Now, other sites have 17, 16, which like that's even before all the.
I would definitely boost that. Yeah.
I would boost it too. So now if I told you that, and I went through all of Whiteside's games, and again, there's a lot of guys sitting, so this is probably not a bad spot for him. And I'm kind of in the same camp as you. Gobert is not going to be as great. Here's the minutes and here's the fantasy points that go along with it. 19 minutes, 24 fantasy points, 32, 25, 32, 42, 22 minutes, 43, 25 minutes, 35. I mean, every single game I pull up that he's played 20 or more minutes, he has over 25 or more DK points against OKC. Now, of course, I know every situation is not the same, but some of these more recent ones are. And if Whiteside just plays 20 minutes against OKC, he is going to smash them. Also, I pulled up some other games of just the Jazz when they were playing in April. And a lot of the games that they played in April, some of them were competitive because they were playing like Phoenix last year. They were playing Dallas. But when they played Orlando, they blew them out, which OKC could definitely get blown out even with this terrible roster. And what happened? All these starters, Bogdanovich only played 24 minutes, Ingles 21, Mitchell 21, Gobert 20, Royce O'Neal 20, even Clarkson only played 21. And all those other guys got a ton of run. The point I'm getting at with Whiteside is even if let's say Whiteside, it falls really terrible for him. Like he only gets 18 minutes. If he plays 18 minutes, which is maybe the floor, he could still get 30 DK points. At 3.6K, that's a great play. I think he's going to definitely be someone that I get on my teams that's not really going to be owned. Now, could he be owned based on the way some news falls? Yes, there's a chance he gains more ownership, but people will lock into other plays where I don't think they'll do that. Like people will lock into a Clint Capella and they can easily hurt themselves, where I think Big T's approach of jamming in these studs, getting in these cheap guys is a really good way to go. And Hassan Whiteside could just be like the stone. So I'm going to definitely make sure I leave a roster spot for him. And it gives me flexibility just in case some other under-owned stuff pops up. So I love the Whiteside call. I don't like playing Bogdanovich and all these other guys, even Jordan Clarkson. I get really nervous about because Jordan Clarkson comes off the bench. And what would you be surprised to see the Jazz just go out there and not really like have like a completely different starting lineup? They could be up like 70 to like 39 and they could just put out some garbage starting lineup and Clarkson doesn't play the whole fourth quarter. So the point I'm getting at here is I think these starters for the Jazz, like Big T said, are not as great plays. And some of these other guys are. And the other key with Whiteside that's nice is, do you think they're just going to trot Rudy Gay out there for 30 minutes? No, they're not going to play Rudy Gay for 30 minutes. There's like not a ton of backups that can really take that time. And Hassan Whiteside is just a great play to me. So love him. I think that I could see like a Trent Forrest pop up, but you don't need to do that. And Nickeil Alexander-Walker, he's another guy that you mentioned that I think is a pretty good play. And if the OKC news doesn't fall right, you have really good values on that Jazz side that you can take a shot with.
Yep, very good breakdown. I like the Whiteside. Like, there's no way he's not going to play. Like, the 16 minutes is the minimum.
I think he's gonna. I'll even take it further. I think he's gonna start. I think they're gonna sit Gobert. It's total speculation, but like I just don't see why they would play these guys in this spot.
My only question is why hasn't he been ruled out already? Like,
I mean, I get it. It's still a little early though. I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. Again, you got to make guesses. And again, like Mangone said, not to just compound it, but even if I'm wrong and he doesn't start, like you still get 3,600, 20 minutes. Even if you get 17 minutes, it's not worst case scenario. But Whiteside's one of the few guys. like he could drop a 50 spot for you at that price. He doesn't have the normal like 25-point upside or something. But he's got massive upside.
How do they sit all these guys and then like, do you think Gobert's out there for 40 minutes? No, they have Whiteside. He's very capable of beating up on this.
I just don't, he's not even gonna. I'll be stunned if these guys play more than like low 20s minutes.
Clarkson's the tough one because like someone's like he probably won't start. He never starts. And you don't know what, like, there's so.
And he could easily break the slate too. He's definitely the hardest for me too.
Yeah, he is.
But he's going to be high owned too, like you said. Like he's going to be high owned because of the projections, and that makes me want to fade him. But you definitely aren't safe. Like you're definitely worried about him smashing you.
If I'm 150 and I'm probably just like underweight, like the classic underweight tag. Like I can't full fade the man. But I mean, if you're playing 1-2 lineups, you got to make a decision. Clarkson's definitely a tough one. I like the Whiteside thing though, because like the minimum minutes you get is what, 16, 17. He could go off for 35 in those minutes. He's a very good point per minute producer. And if Rudy Gobert, and you guys are right about that stuff, he plays 25 minutes. Sign me up for Whiteside all day. So I think that makes
Colin in the chat says, looks like this Bearman Frazier isn't a lock to play. Well, why isn't he a lock to play tonight, Colin? Like he's going to play 40 minutes. Like sometimes you just got to make educated guesses.
Like you're right. But if he's there, he's playing. It's for sure.
Like he's going to play. He is going to play a lot. And believe me, they'll announce like an hour or two from now, they'll announce him starting and then the projections will adjust and everyone will be like, man, he's a great play. Like it's just.
Here's another great selling point, Big T. I just did a quick Twitter search and this sometimes you can get some really good nuggets. This guy, his name is Ben Kreider. He's like, I don't know. He doesn't have a ton of followers or anything, but says he's like the Thunder intern or something. And like talks about, he does something with the Thunder Sticks podcast. I'm sure it's like legit. And he doesn't have a lot of followers because he's part of the Thunder. Like no one's following that. But he said Melvin Frazier Jr. has been in the OKC Thunder's radar since 2020. Frazier played the last 2 seasons with the Blue before being traded to the Iowa Wolves mid-season. Former number 35 pick with the Orlando Magic, who was horribly mismanaged. He thinks he's legit. But this is a guy who's literally like does like bottom of the barrel stuff with the OKC Thunder, saying that in 2020 he was on his radar. If he is there, I am playing Melvin Frazier Jr. and locking him in.
Yeah, I agree.
That's why bad franchises stay bad. Imagine I and this dude who no one's ever heard of since 2020. When you got guys,
man, for sure. But like, why would this guy tweet it? You know what I mean? Like, it's like
you can't make that up. Like, you literally can't make up that story to yourself. Yeah. Hey, that's why I love man going on these shows. He'll find that. No chance Big T or I ever would have found that information. So, man, going, we appreciate that. We got one game left on this slate. 450 watching. I set the number for only 205 likes. I didn't expect this many people to be grinding NBA DFS this late in the year. I love it. Love the grinders out there, but 205 likes for the plays of the day, one game left. You guys are for sure going to get there. If not, it'll be easy to pull the plays of the day today because that would be hurtful for sure. But last game on the slate, 10 p.m. Eastern, Phoenix Suns, Los Angeles Clippers, 223 total. Clippers are favored by 6. Going to the injury report for Phoenix. D-Book, Chris Paul, Ayton, Jay Crowder are all out. They're all resting. They have nothing to play for in this game. Going to the Clippers, they haven't had anything to play for a little while. They're locked into where they are. Norman Powell is questionable. Who knows about that? I mean,
I thought I saw he's going to play. Did I not see that?
Oh, you might have.
I'm pretty sure I thought I saw he was going to play tonight.
So, yeah. Mango and you or someone look.
Mango knows news better than I do. I'm not. That's definitely not my. I thought I saw that. Could be wrong.
What is the news? Because I'm deep down the rabbit hole. This guy did a podcast today that says how the OKC Thunder fans should feel about the Westbrook Wall trade, and then he goes, "Why Melvin Frazier is a diamond in the rough." This dude peels to our boy Melvin. But what's the news?
Norman Powell, is he probable now? Is he still questionable? You probably are right, Big T. I easily could have missed it.
I don't usually speak up on news. I'm fairly certain he's playing.
You probably are. So,
I think he's playing.
I mean, regardless,
he's not going to play much anyways, but I think he sees the floor.
The news was a final decision on his availability will come up after pregame warmup. So, like, you kind of have to wait a little bit.
Okay. Anyway,
it doesn't really change anything anyways, as far as the actual slate.
No, for sure. But Big T, I'm going to go to you in this one first because it's an interesting one. Cam Johnson, like they're grading out well. They're good basketball players. The Suns have nothing to play for, though. Cam Payne and Cam Johnson are vital parts for the Suns for their playoff role. JaVale McGee, he's going to be very chalky. if he plays 18 minutes, he could still smash the slate, but he also means something for this playoff run. So how are you approaching the Suns? They rest all these big guys. You got to play some, you think. Which one's for you? And then anybody on the Clippers. This team's such an unknown, but maybe they even rule people out. I saw some in the YouTube chat. Clippers could rule people out. They easily could. Who knows? What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of led me down the path. I just don't think they have anything to play for. I really struggle playing these guys. Yeah, JaVale is cheap, but again, there's going to be a ton of underpriced guys on this slate. I'd rather play Whiteside than JaVale, even for 700 cheaper. I like the reasoning behind Whiteside way more. They value JaVale. They're not playing for anything. I just don't want to play these good teams that have nothing to play for. I mean, this is what makes this time of year profitable, I think, because and it goes into the playoffs too, as I go into this point, everyone just wants to use these projections still, and the projections cannot account for just human knowledge. Like, this is why I've done the best every single year, the end of the year into the playoffs, and other people might not do as well because I'm more of a read player, and I think a lot of Run Pure is. And I just don't agree with the projections. Yeah, they'll probably get there. I mean, they'll probably, like, JaVale will probably get you 25 or something in there. I'm not saying he's going to get you nothing, but Campaign will probably get you high 20s. These guys will be okay. But on this slate where we got 3K guys that are going to play 40 minutes, I just don't see the need to go to these guys. And I say that knowing I don't think other sites around the industry will just take strong stands on very good projected plays because they're not capable of it. They're just going to tell you to play what the projections say, play those guys, run the sims, do the different stuff, do all that stuff and play your team. We're going to have more of a feel approach to it. I don't really see any of Phoenix I like. I know that'll be probably a bad take. People will probably hate that take because there's so many guys out, but they still got 11 dudes that I'm counting. I mean, there probably will be one or two of these guys that'll crush too, but honestly, this is going to sound even more crazy, but I would rather play like these cheap dudes, like Ish Wainwright, whoever that is. And
you'd rather those guys over like an Aaron Holiday or Bismack?
I just can't play Aaron Holiday. Oh, he's so bad over the years.
But if he's
so bad.
I'm
not going to play these guys anyway. Cause like the OKC and the Utah guys we talked about, there's literally no way I fade those guys to play Phoenix. I like those guys more, even the Detroit guys. And like we always say, we got to take stands. We're not playing 100 people in our player pool. If you're playing a shit ton of people, like, sure, play some Phoenix guys. It'll be my fate of the night, though. I just don't like this game. Neither team's playing for anything. I mean, the Clippers side, I guess maybe you could play Paul George as like a stud, but man, I just don't see the ceiling. They just want to get his legs under him. They want to get him comfortable. They want to get Norman Powell a little run. I don't know. These are my feel spots. I know people like to tail some of my feel stuff. I'm going to play the Utah game super, super heavy, and I'm going to fade this game.
I mean, it makes sense. Your philosophy you always talk about is playing teams that actually have something to play for this late in the year. It's a popular spot. These teams don't have anything to play for. Mangone, how are you approaching this game? Because it's a big one in tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm all about playing games that you're gonna like play for something in, right? Like I played against Bill, BigT, and I took it easy, right? But then you
He's probably watching the show. Where's Space Cowboy at?
Space Cowboy.
You watching Space Cowboy? Where you at? You got to say something in there.
So yeah, I mean, I figured that was a good way to segue it, but I really don't like this game that much. Now, the one thing I like about the strategy we've talked about a little bit is more stars and scrubs. Is well, when you do stars and scrubs, does a campaign at 5K matter for sure? Is he going to be on that winning build setup? Could he be? Yes, but it could be where it's like more like 3-4K guys, and then like maybe it's like a bunch of guys above 9K, like 3 of them, and then like another mid tier, right? I may not be doing the math properly, but you get the point I'm getting at here. You might not need to jam all these guys in. If I play Suns, I feel like I may just play 1 or 2. And also they have 11 guys, like Big T said. 11 guys is a lot of bodies. You can easily just take that fourth quarter and just not run these guys out there, and they don't get there in value, right? Where they just kind of are like a mid-tier option that doesn't get you to the finish line. They're Will Barton, who got me 24, while Aaron Gordon went for 42. And I cash, sure, but that one guy might be the difference of why I don't get there. So ultimately, I don't love this game. You can make arguments for some of these guys. If I have to pick them, it's like probably the campaigns, the Cam Johnsons. But I'm really just not trying to slam guys in my lineups from this game. I just like that OKC Utah game a lot more. And I even feel like I like some of these other earlier guys. Like I like some of these Hawks possible values and maybe some of these Nets and Knicks guys more than I do with this later game. Now, if for some reason the news doesn't hit right in this OKC game for me, I have this as a backup plan. It's not the end of the world. It could work out for me and I could run good and be like, okay, listen, I ran pure. It was not the spot I wanted to go, but did they do well? Yeah, they did well. And I move on to the next day. Or I could obviously go the other way. It doesn't work out. And so be it. I'll just move on to the next slate. But I like my strategy. I like Big T. It seems like me and him are pretty aligned. And Title, it seems like you kind of agree, like backloading is a good idea tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I think backloading is a good idea, but these Suns, like in tournaments, I would definitely be lower on the Suns and stuff like Big T saying. I got a feeling Big T might have a Detroit Piston in his core or something, but
I need that lineup. But as long as the lineup looks decent, I might even play one, even if they're not in the lineup. But this is a good slate. Like, why would anyone not like this slate? You can guess a little bit, you can take some chances, you can play some studs. Like, I don't know. And the dude in the chat says Big T 777. That is not true tonight because I love the Utah game. That's not Big T 777. Sure, if you count fading the last game as that, then so be it. But I'm definitely going heavy on that Utah game, though. I promise you that.
Yeah, it's a good one for sure. Mini LeBron, he'll probably be in that lineup. Hopefully he's in the starting lineup. But that was all 6 games. A lot of fun.
And the dude talking to you in chat, too, just because I like to interact with them. Like, how easy is it beating McLovin and BK Ryder? Like, those two are the best. Why would Title be sitting there playing those two? Just because you play cash games doesn't mean you can't find some softer spots out there. Like, he's not just going in there and pounding away the dynamo. Sure, if they get matched up here and there, Title's won plenty of money in this freaking stuff. He'll be just fine, but he's not like going out and looking for those guys. I mean, why would anyone go? I don't know anything about cash like these guys do. I know these guys aren't going and looking for these dudes to play, though. They're just going to play the softer spots. That's part of the fun in cash.
Yeah, like I said they're good for sure. I don't play them head to heads. I don't go out of my way to play them. The most like Yahoo, this smaller, I play on Yahoo with Mott, BK Ryder, them. That's where like the 6-man 50-50s and stuff, you're battling them more so. But yeah, like FanDuel and stuff, you got 20 to 100 people, 50s, DK and stuff. I would not go out of your way and play Mock Love and BK Ryder. They definitely very, very good.
Yeah,
but
I mean, the only way you'd go out of your way to play them is if like you're like, you know, they play a lot of opto stuff and you're like, well, I know that they're going to be on that and I think they're a bad play. But like, if you're going to do that, why are you doing it for a double up? Like do it for tournaments. Like that makes way more sense to do it that way than attacking 2 dudes who have proven and are hanging around. I mean, unless they have, those rich parents that keep them around in the industry, I don't know what else is keeping them, posting all those head to heads.
It's always the poker phrase. You could say you could be the 8th best player in the world, but you sit down with the best 7 guys, you're going to go broke. Doesn't matter how good you are. I mean, you just can't, you got to know where you're
There's nothing more important than picking where you play your money. Anything, even counting tournaments, poker. We've been in the poker world too, where yeah, you could be the best in a lot of games. You just got to pick the right games. Don't be going and playing with people better than you all the time. And don't have too much pride. Like, if you should respect other people's ability and just pick your spots, because that's more important than any of the other stuff.
I mean, those are guys I've been playing cash for years and years. I study their lineups every single day. Like those are the people you look up for. You don't try and take their money. They got way more money. Even if you think
you're better, you should think you're better. Mangone probably thinks he's better. You might be better, but why are you picking on the other people that are maybe just as good or in that range? Like you should think you're better. You're not saying just because you don't play them doesn't mean you don't have to have the biggest shaft,
right? Am I that much better to beat the rake? And like there are ways if you study someone, you could probably find a flaw in their system. But is that how you want to spend your time? Is that worth the risk? Probably not.
And their bankroll compared to my bankroll, they could go on.
That's another dynamic with
25 lifetimes if I wanted. So yeah, that's enough. There's a lot that goes into it. But yeah, I mean, Mock Love and BK Ryder, of course, very good people. I mean, very good DFS players in this industry. But that was all 6 games. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for us. You guys did get the 205 likes. We appreciate it. Head over to Run Pure Sports. Check it out. Masters 50 gets you 50% off. Big T's going live later, 9 p.m. I think it's what? Tambo and who's the other one on that show? Uncle T. Yeah, he was on Tuesday last week, not Wednesday. Uncle T, Tambo, Big T, breaking down Masters. And yeah, there could be shows later, always in the Discord. UFC this week, opening day show tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern. So check it out. Hit that subscribe, then you'll be notified when we go live. We also have a promo code with Underdog, Run Pier. Matches your first deposit up to $100. They got best ball. I saw it with Big T. I don't know if you saw. They got like golf head-to-heads on Underdog now. So it's pretty cool. If you don't live in like a legal betting state, there's a lot of cool stuff they got over there. $100 matching deposit. Run Pier is the promo code. But 6 games, you guys got the likes. It's time for the plays of the day. I'm going to myself first because there's no way I'm risking this one being taken. You guys can probably guess it. My boy, Emmanuel Quickly, going right back to him after Sunday. I mean, what? We were saying he was playing about 30 minutes. There's no reason that he wouldn't be. He got up to 34 minutes. Man, the usage is really good. He didn't even shoot the ball well. He was 3 from 10 from beyond the arc. He still puts up a big boy, 57 points, triple-double, 57 DK points. He's a sniper. He's a hooper. He can fill it up in bunches. That's the guys I want to play. So Emmanuel Quickly, the SO play of the day. Mangone, Sweet Travis play of the day. Who do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm taking Big T's play, but I also came in with like a lot of stats. So like, it's not like it just, made it up and stole it, but I love Hassan Whiteside. He's my guy today. And hey, I was arm in arm with Big T yesterday and I looked at his stuff. I was like, wow, same boat as him. Arm in arm again, it feels like today. So it's good company to be in. So hopefully we can get to the winner's circle. Hassan Whiteside, I'll definitely be getting exposure to him tonight. And I'm hoping that we get this kind of like low owned, right? Like, let's let it sneak under the radar. Let's not have news come out too much. And let's just make it be a guy that's low owned that kind of brings us to the finish line.
What we need is for him not to start for sure. Like if he somehow starts, then literally everyone's going to play him. We're going to lose all of our value if he somehow starts.
Agree. And the other way you can tell sometimes is like, let's say Clint Capella, like let's say like a Gallinari gets ruled out and Capella ends up being like, I don't know, like
God, please let that happen.
Like 60%, right? Then people get locked out of it at times. So like that's another thing that can happen as you're planning with the slate. Sometimes guys get more under-owned than you realize. So that's definitely something to discuss as well. Because hey, that's a big edge you can gain later in the season when people.
I'd pay double my entries tonight if you could guarantee me Capella high owned.
Hey, you would do that every night. You're one of the bigger Capella haters.
Especially tonight, though, more so than even usual.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be like a chalk play today, but he's definitely someone.
He could be if a few of those guys get rolled out for sure, though. Like he could definitely end up popular.
I mean, it's April DFS. Like any piece of news could hit. No one would be surprised. That's why the Up to Lock show, Discord, all that's important. Hassan Whiteside, Sweet Travis play of the day. Big T, cap it off for us. The workbench play of the day. Who you got?
So we talked about a bunch of plans, bunch of stuff, a bunch of great plays too in the OKC. I mean, one guy that if he started, he's not going to be the workbench, but man, like I talked about with Alexander Walker from the Jazz. I mean, if he starts, like I think I'd play him even over the OKC guys. If he started, like I would just absolutely love him. I'm not going to give those plays though, just because we need a lineup. I'm going to go standard workbench and a guy that I know is going to be low owned unless he starts. If he starts, he still probably won't be as high owned as he should be though. I'm going with my boy Carson Edwards because it stays in form with the workbench. Like I don't think people are going to play him. No one's on the radar of him right now. He just played, I don't have it up anymore, but 31 minutes or something the other game, 34 fantasy points. I've seen him go nuclear in summer league, in college. I've seen it plenty of times. I just think the way the Pistons are closing this season, I think they want to see these guys. I feel very good about him, and I'm undecided if I want him to start or not, just because if he starts, then I think he is a lock. But if he doesn't start, I'm going to get him 1% owned, and I still think he could crush just as easily. Like Cade could play 15 minutes or something and then just not play anymore, and Carson could get all those minutes. So either way, he's going to be the play unless we get like bad news or something. You'll see him in my core, and that's it. Going to be a fun slate, though.
Definitely. I mean, he played 30 minutes. He shot 15 times. He had a 25% usage rate. Like you said, those are the guys you want to play. I mean, he was a hooper in college. He can fill it up. So I don't think you're going to be playing him on FanDuel, though. That price tag 5.3K where he's
like, how does that happen? Like FanDuel sucks at pricing people, and then they'll just randomly price these scrub dudes up at like 5,300. Like, come on.
Yeah, they gave up on their pricing, and yet Carson Edwards is 5,300. I don't know what to say.
Unless he starts. If he starts, maybe I'll stick with him in the workbench in FanDuel if he somehow starts.
You'll have to
Probably
go
not,
find
though.
that. You'll have to find that at Run Pure Sports on the core plays to see if Big T will have that. But very fun show. We're going a little overboard. I don't exactly know who's on Up to Lock. There's no way it can be K Falik since I haven't heard from him. It's Holden. It's JSU, I'm guessing. And JT, thank you, Helmet. JT, JSU, Holden. Knew there was no chance it was K Falik. Otherwise, my phone would be buzzing. But that was a fun show for sure. Yesterday, the man, the Millie, bring it up one more time. Congrats to you. A lot more than just the Millie yesterday, but let's try and stay hot. Make sure you tune in the opening day show with Holden, DC, myself tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern. Can't wait for that. Check out the Masters show tonight. That's premium, but that's going to do it for us. For Big T, Mangone, Helmet Behind the Sticks, I'm Titletown. Good luck, everybody.